This is a Excel worksheet that can solve a Sudoku puzzle. Basically, I have a Sudoku puzzle here listed in cells A1 to I9, and it's on the worksheet called Sudoku. And basically, it's going to look at all the columns, rows, and 3x3 boxes that pertain to any particular cell. And it's going to basically look at what values that A1 or any particular cell cannot be to determine what cells it can be. Now let's go to data table. Here we have 26 different columns, 811 different rows. We're trying to look at all the particular cells A1 to I9 for the Sudoku puzzle. This one will return the one of the cells for the Sudoku puzzle if D2 is equal to 0. Otherwise, it will be blank. This one will assign the letter A for if the row is less than 92, and it will continue on until it reaches I. That way we have 10 values for each particular cell in the Sudoku puzzle. And next we need to go and get all of the particular row numbers that we need for the column letters for the Sudoku puzzle. So we have the column letters here. Now we have the row numbers here. Basically, it's going to count the number of times that each letter appears. So if A appears under 11 times, it will return 1. If B appears under 11 times, it will return 1. And it will continue to assign a number to these occurrences for each letter, all the way from 1 to 9. This column D will provide all of the column letters needed for the same row. This one will return all of the row numbers that you need for the same column letter. This one will return 1, 2, and 3, which is what you need for the 3x3 box. This one will return either 1, 2, and 3, or 4, 5, and 6, or 7, 8, and 9, based on whether the current cell is less than or equal to 3, less than or equal to 6, or less than or equal to 9. It will add the numbers 3 to make 4, 5, and 6. It will add the numbers 6 to equal 7, 8, and 9. Now this one looks at column E, and if it is less than or equal to 4, it will return A, D, and G. If it's less than or equal to 7, it will return B, E, and H. If it's less than 10, it will equal C, F, and I. A, B, and C are needed for the 3x3 box. D, E, and F is also needed in G, H, and I. So these are the column letters that we need. So now we're looking if the current cell has a column letter that is less than or equal to C, it will take the left value, which is A, B, and C. If it's less than or equal to F, it will return the value D, E, and F using the mid function, and then if it is less than or equal to I, it will return the values G, H, and I. And these are the values that you would need for the 3x3 box. So now we have the current cell here. That's just based on columns B and C. We have the 3x3 box. That's based on the row number and the column letter that we used in I and G. This is the column values that we need, which is based on the column letter of the current cell, and which is the letter A. And it's also based on the row number, row 1 through 9. Now we're going to get values that contain the same row. In order to do that, we need to look at the row number that the current cell is in. And then we also need to look at the column letters that we need. So the column letters that we need are A through I, which is right here. N1 is basically to reference the Sudoku worksheet. We're going to need that for future indirect formulas. So now here we have all of the offsets that we need for every one of the 81 cells. So we have 30 different values. Some are duplicates, but that doesn't really matter. So we have this particular if statement that's going to say if Sudoku worksheet for the cell A1 is equal to 0, return blank. If it's not, then return the value that's in that particular cell of Sudoku in A1 in this case. And we're going to continue that on through the 3x3 values and the columns and the rows. And we need to get this range because we need to do a count if based on this range. So we have these three indirect formulas, if statements here that bring in the values. We have the lower range, which is 2. And then we have the upper range, which is 11. And we determine the lower range based on column C, and we determine the upper range based on column R. Now we provide the column letters that we need for the lower range and upper range. That way, we have a column that gives us all the possible values that we could use for a Sudoku puzzle, 1 through 9. And then we have a count that looks at O2 to Q11, and it counts whether the number 1 through 9 is greater than or equal to 0. If it's greater than or equal to 0, that means that number does exist in either the 3x3, the columns, or the rows. If it does not exist, we will return the number 0 because it counts 0 of those numbers. Now if the number is 0, we want to return the number that is missing, which is in column U, and the 0 that we're looking at is in column V. Now we need to count how many missing values we have. So in order to do that, we need to look at column W to determine what are the missing values. In order to count the number of missing values we have, we need to create another range. So we have the lower and upper range for the data that we need. So now we're going to count if for W2 to W11. And we count that there are 2 missing values, 1 and 6. So now we're going to say that this particular cell could either equal 1 or 6. Now let's go back to the Sudoku puzzle. Okay, so although it said it could be 1 or 6, the value is given to us. Because the value is given to us, we can just return that value. So in here we have if the Sudoku puzzle is blank, that means if the value is not given to us, return the missing values that are in column Y. Now in order to get the row number that we need for column Y or for column X, we start at 2, we add 10, we go 9 places down, then we add 90 to each of these, then we go all the way across until we reach 9 columns to get to column I. That's how we get the row numbers that we need. So if we go back here, 3 is given to us, we're going to return 3. If we go to L1, this B1 is blank, so we're going to return the missing values that pertain to cell B1. Okay, so now we go to the next one, the next Sudoku puzzle. So as you can see here, we're trying to solve for values based on the prior Sudoku puzzle. So in this Sudoku puzzle, we're going to say if the original Sudoku puzzle is not blank, then return the value. And if the indirect of U12, and you know column X is the count, column Y is the missing values. So if the count is equal to 1, basically take the value here in U1, or you can call it data table Y2, and remove the commas and provide us that value. So if the count is equal to 1, we return the value. So basically here we have an 8 that has been solved. And then if you look here, we have a 9 that has been solved. And then if you look here, we have a 4 that has been solved. So basically it's able to solve it based on the count. And based on the count, it's able to remove the commas to provide the value. In this Sudoku puzzle here, we are returning 3 possible values. The values in the given puzzle, we are returning the solved values, or we're going to return the missing values. And as you can see, we still have a lot of values that have either 2 values, 3 values, 5 values, etc. So we've solved for 3 of the different values. We need to solve for all the other values. In order to do that, we need to have this particular table here used for a Sudoku puzzle. So in order to do that, we create another Sudoku worksheet, and we can label it version 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to change this worksheet that's referencing to data table version 2, and we're going to copy data table and create a data table version 2, then change N1 from Sudoku to Sudoku version 2. So now this data table version 2 is going to reference Sudoku version 2. And these values here, we want to reference the solved values in A12 to I20. So you're going to just put equal sign equals A12 to I20 here. So now that you've added an additional Sudoku worksheet and a data table worksheet, the Sudoku puzzle will now flow into the data table 2 version worksheet, create additional offsets here based on the new values, and then in here it will reduce the number of possible values, possibly even to only 1 value. And if you look here, we have 8, we have 1, we have 6. These are all possible values that can be solved using the updated Sudoku puzzle that we got from the original one here. And that's basically what you do. You repeat the process, creating different versions until you get to a version where there's only 1 possible value for all of the missing values. And then once you do that, you know that you're close to solving the puzzle. And now for version number 16, all of the cells in A1 to I9 have been solved with a value for the Sudoku puzzle. And that's pretty much how you solve a Sudoku puzzle using Microsoft Excel.